This is The Download from Sounds Profitable, your daily source for the essential news in the business of podcasting. I'm Gavin Gaddis. Here's what you need to know for today, Thursday, June 25th. First up, a new map for podcasting. Tom Webster will debut a new piece of Sounds Profitable research this week at Vidcon. Dubbed the Podcast Atlas, the new report claims, quote, to map the whole podcast universe at once. Not just the audio, but the video, the clips, the social posts, and the newsletters that will now travel with the show, and how a real audience moves among all of them. End quote. A key takeaway that sits with Webster is most podcast promotion plans focus on strategies designed to appeal to people who are already die-hard podcast fans. Trailers, promo swaps, the like. But under 35's demographic isn't perusing podcast trailers. They're living in vertical spaces. TikTok surfaces new shows for under 35s at 7 times the rate it does for listeners 55 and over. Trailers account for just 3% of discovery, and podcast ads for 4%. Spotify discovered listeners post a net brand receptivity score 58, and TikTok discovered listeners score 52, both well above the baseline of 35, suggesting vertical discovery channels produce commercially engaged audiences. Webster argues the unit of discovery for younger listeners is a vertical clip made by a platform-native creator and recommends funding ongoing vertical programs rather than launch week stunts for shows targeting under 35s. The live webinar debut of the Podcast Atlas is scheduled for Wednesday, July 1st at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Registration is open now. Link in the show notes. Next up, the podcasters our industry forgets. Richard Fawal, CEO and founder of Vox Topica, has a new piece for Sounds Profitable arguing mission-driven podcasters at nonprofits, universities, government agencies, and advocacy organizations are largely overlooked by the industry despite doing skilled work under distinct constraints. Their value does not map onto downloads or CPMs, cost per 1,000 impressions. A public health podcast reaching 4,000 clinicians who change prescribing practices delivers more mission-critical impact than a chart-topping entertainment show. According to Nonprofit Marketing Guide research, only 5% of nonprofit communicators report their roles are well understood by colleagues, and the industry provides no segmented research or conference programming for this group. Fawal draws on Sounds Profitable Trust research to argue the medium's credibility is especially suited for mission work and calls for research, pricing, and professional recognition that treat mission-driven producers as peers. For a final top story, global study finds audio boosts profit, trust, and customer acquisition. An analysis of 1,262 campaigns from Effie, System1 Databank, spanning 17 years and 5 markets, that's the US, UK, Australia, Ireland, and Europe, found that campaigns incorporating audio delivered 75% higher profits, 81% greater trust, 81% higher price insensitivity, and 19% more customer acquisition than campaigns without audio. When emotional creative was paired with audio, profits approximately doubled. Marketing professor Mark Ritson presented the findings at Cannes Lion 2026, placing them directly in front of agency media planners during the annual budgeting session. Quote, for a relatively modest investment, it's an unfair advantage hiding in plain sight. End quote. As for the rest of the news, Spotify VP of Product Per Sandell told Ad Exchanger at Cannes Lion that audio is, quote, the most underrepresented medium in advertising, end quote, attributing the gap to fragmentation across sellers and weak measurement infrastructure. And noted that 63% of Spotify's listeners are ad-supported but generate only around 10% of revenue. Hernan Lopez's mid-year streaming report highlights vertical video as a $150 billion opportunity and covers platform consolidation moves including Fox, Roku, and Netflix Warner Brothers, alongside Instagram and YouTube's push into episodic content. Continuing the Cannes fun, Digiday's Cannes briefing finds creators this year arriving with pitches in hand rather than party invitations, with brands showing up with active briefs for creator campaigns. Radio America podcast network Helios Media has signed Matt Morse and his daily political commentary show, The Morse Report. And finally, Pave Studios has partnered with supporting casts to power premium subscriptions for their brand, Crime House. Be sure to check out the links to everything I've talked about by checking your show notes, or you can go to soundsprofitable.com and find today's episode, where you can also subscribe to get the newest editions of the newsletter sent straight to your email inbox. The download is written and produced by myself, Brian Barletta, Tom Webster, and Molly D'Amelio. For Sounds Profitable, I'm Gavin Gaddis, and I'll see you tomorrow morning for the download recap.